Hey guys, thanks for coming in for the Q&A follow-up video. I thought I would address the questions. That you posed in my last Q&A, and I want you to post some more questions in this Q&A if you have any, so that way we can make this a weekly series. I did find a couple of other questions that I found really interesting from a couple of other videos, so I am going to address them here, but I ask that you do the questions here on these Q&A videos so I don't have to go hunting them down on other, of course that doesn't mean that you can't ask me any questions in the other videos if you have a question about what the video is about or whatever, but any other kind of general type question, please be sure and post it here in the comment section so that I can address it a little bit fuller and elaborate a little bit more on it when I do the follow-up Q&A. So let me just try to find these here on my iPad and then we can get started. It says, I came across your videos. Someone said we should watch your channel. I have a question. First one, what made you start doing this? Second, where do you get bags of jewelry from? Third, how are you testing this stuff? And what do you do with all once you've gone through with it? Okay, well, what was the first question? What made me start doing this? Now, I don't know if she's referring to YouTube or if she's referring to reselling. So I've just always started, I've just always liked reselling. It's something that I've done to kind of scale down my hoarding tendencies because I've always been a collector. I've collected everything from cigarette lighters to ashtrays to dolls to the gamut. So in order to kind of hone it down a little bit or to scale it down a little bit, I started reselling. If you're referring to YouTube, I started doing YouTube because I ran into a thrift haul from a girl named Graveyard Girl, and I realized she was from Houston. I saw the wonderful things that she was getting that were very similar to the wonderful things that I was finding, and I thought it would just be fun to also do hauls and show people what I find in my excursions. So that's why I started doing YouTube. And then the next question was, how do I test things? I do have an acid tester. I do have a loop. I do have a magnet, and all of those are used in testing for fine gold and silver, and also for diamonds. And I also never actually take it for granted, though. I do like to take it to a professional anyway, just as a second opinion, so to speak. And just in case you're wondering about the magnet, if not everything that's gold or silver is non-magnetic, but that's usually the preliminary test. And even when I've taken them into a professional, they always start with a magnet as well. I thought that was really interesting. What do I do once I've gone through it all? I usually pack up more mystery bags or grab bags, and I donate them to another charity shop or to another Goodwill that I don't frequent as much, at least not for jewelry because they rarely have any. And that's kind of what I do with that. I've also been collecting a lot of lots. I'm making up lots for kind of a hippie boho lot. I'm making up a nautical with seashells and that kind of thing. I'm making up a huge, it's probably this big, the tray, and this thick of nothing but beads. And they're not broken beads. They're just beaded necklaces and things that I probably will not wear or list. So those are going in there, and I'm hoping to list them as a mix lot on eBay or Etsy pretty soon. I just have not had the time. And so that's kind of what I do with me about certain items that are listed, just kind of to parlay into this. If you see something that you're interested in, please email me, because a lot of times I just haven't had time to list it yet. I'm kind of overwhelmed when I do the jewelry boxes and the jewelry jars, so I do tend to get a little bit behind on the listing. So from Tam's Place, and she says, "Some of the video was helpful. Gaining knowledge is so important when you're a reseller and YouTuber. How long have you been reselling, and how did you get started?" Okay, well, I've been reselling, like I said before, gosh, I think my oldest son is, he was probably 3 or so when we started going to flea markets together. I have pictures of me and him and just sitting on the back trunk of like a little hatchback, and he's sitting there having his snack, and I have a few tables there selling everything from my own clothing to clothing that I would source to sell, jewelry that I would make, and jewelry that I collected. I have always collected jewelry. So again, like I said, just to make room to collect more, to kind of hone my my hoard down. I started reselling at flea markets years ago, over 30 years ago. And that's just how I started. And then, like I said, when eBay came along a few years ago, I have another Q&A that I answered where I kind of go into that detail as well as to how I started reselling at flea markets. I just, like I said, I collect a lot. I hoarded a lot in order to make room for more, or to just keep, feeding my addiction to collecting jewelry, handbags, everything. I would sell a lot of it. It came along in 2007. That's when I started selling on eBay, and it was kind of a serendipitous moment that I was having a party with some of my friends, and we have a monthly party, a get together, and we were talking about eBay and how addicting the shopping can be. And then my friend was saying something about DVDs and how she was selling them on there. And someone said, well, why are they buying CDs? I mean, it's something you can buy commonly anywhere. And she said that you don't understand. It's actually a really addicting thing. People just go on there and shop, So then I was thinking, that's true. And then my son had said, you have a lot of collections. You should probably think about selling on eBay. And then I asked him to show me how to do it, and he said that it would probably be more beneficial if I learned on my own. He did give me a few hints on, what to plug in where and all of that, because back then you had to literally put your camera in and get it plugged in to upload those photos. But he really made me learn how to do it by myself, and I did, and so the ball just kept rolling with the eBay. And then he also was the first one to tell me about Etsy and how I should probably sell my handmade goods there, because I'm a knitter and I do make a lot of... I used to make a lot of things and sell those as well, and just enjoy them and give them away. So he said that might be a good place for you to start selling your vintage things and the things that you make by hand yourself. So I did that as well. So that's how I started the question. And how do I decide to price is a question I'm getting from KJ Wade. How do you decide to price an item? I decide as a buyer, really honestly, as a buyer. I look at an item and I'll say to myself, if it's a common item, let's say it's a shirt, a J. Crew shirt or something, and I think, what would I like to pay for that, but what is it actually worth? And I kind of weigh those two perspectives and come down to a commonality, because I could easily put a really high price and let it sit there for a long time, or I could try to flip it quick, which is what I try to do. It is kind of my MO there. I do try to flip it pretty quickly. I don't want to lower the market value of anything by going really rock bottom, but I do want to price it competitively. I understand, and I understood even more so the other day when I was talking to my coworker, whom I've been showing how to sell on eBay. And she's been showing me things, and the talks that we've had have really made me look at things a little bit differently. And she was saying something about selling on eBay, and she said, people that buy on eBay are looking for a bargain. That's why they go to eBay. That's why they don't go to Etsy. They don't go to Posh. They go directly to eBay to find a bargain. And that's kind of what I keep in the back of my head as well, is that someone wants to find that rag and bone. Someone wants to find those trendy jeans at a good price on eBay. So I try to keep that in mind with my pricing. I'm not going to undercut it. I do take into account what I have invested in it, how much money I spent on it. That's why I keep my price point kind of low for clothing between $2 and $3. Of course, if I can get it cheaper, but I try not to go over $3 unless it's really a high-end brand that I know is gonna bring in some good money. So that's what I do there. Okay. Question. Let me see. How do I ship small items like jewelry? And this is from Forever Luzon, I believe is the name. And I brought out the boxes that I bought last time. I showed them to you in the haul. This is what I've been doing for the finer pieces. The bigger and bulkier pieces. Let's say I sold this necklace. I would put it in a nice box like this. I wouldn't put it in a bag. I had been doing things like little plastic bags like this. Then I'll put it in tissue, put a thank you card, and eBay tissue or something pretty. Put it in one of those legal size manila envelopes or something, that like a 5x7 envelope that usually fits nicely. But that's only if it's not breakable or really, really delicate. But I did get these boxes really cheap. I think I told you I got them for about $1, a little over $1 a piece. So I have been scouting eBay for a lot of boxes. I also got more delivered this week. These are going to be for the necklaces and bracelets. And I'm looking for lots of these, so that's what I searched for. And then I got some of these other ones that just have the little cotton, little cardboard boxes. And I was so glad to actually get a few for earrings and for rings. And I love getting the vintage ones like this. I've also used things like my Brighton tin collection. I bought a whole bunch of those every time I would see them for a quarter at garage sales or so. I have those as well, and I like to put things in there too. They don't really add much weight to the mail. So, oh, where did this come from? I didn't even know these had earrings in them. But yeah, or this is a find. I think this came in a jewelry jar. It already has earrings in there. So yeah, I've been putting them in things like that. And like I said, I bought some really, really nice lots. Here's another one. I love this one because this one actually has the little stand for the earrings. See if you can see that. And I thought these would be great to take pictures with too. I also found will hold a bracelet really nicely and a watch. So this is not only great for shipping it, I'm not even sure if I want to part with these because these are great for photographing it as well. This stands up just a tad, and then you can take a picture of that watch or that bracelet as well, and then ship it out when it does sell. Like I said, I was either doing the Brighton boxes. I've also been using these little pouches. I often run into these at thrift stores, and I do pick them up, but this did come in a lot for me. Here's a larger one, so really, really happy to use these. And just from Harley Graham, and she asked me a jewelry question. It says, how can I tell the difference between glass and plastic beads when the item is made well and is lovely? Do you sell plastic or faux beads, stones, etc.? If it's just experience, I can say that and just carry on. Absolutely, it is experience. You kind of even can tell the difference in the sound of the glass beads. They just have a much clearer tone to them. More noise, but these are just plastic. And see how they sound a lot more dull. And again, the glass beads or the stone beads will be cold to the touch as well. That's another way you can tell. And someone replied to it, Sandra, and she said, you can tell the difference by the feel. Glass is slightly heavier as well. That's a good point. It is heavier. You can tap beads or hear them. That is the glass or plastic. So yeah, again, with the hearing, the weight she mentioned, so that's a great answer as well. And feel free to answer the questions as well, guys. I love that interaction between the subscribers. Okay, and then we have another question. She says, if a person, this is from Lisa Lemons, and she says, if a person is wanting to start thrifting and selling, which would you recommend they start with? eBay, Amazon, or another venue? And I was initially going to say eBay because it's pretty easy. The mobile app is really friendly. I love Etsy, but the mobile app is horrendous. They've changed it like 3 times, and I can't stand it. It's absolutely horrendous. At all. It's not user-friendly at all. So what I would recommend, for some reason, I want to say Amazon. I think Amazon is just something that anybody can pick up. You download the app, you fill out all the information that they're asking of you, but after that, you don't have to take a picture if you don't want to, unless you want to create a listing. But usually if you have a book, you can just take a picture of that book in the front. It'll read it with just the picture. There's a little picture icon in the corner that can scan it with just a photo. If it has a barcode on the back of the item, whether it's a cartridge ink or a book or anything, even things like rubber stamps have barcodes on them, and Amazon can read them. So it'll read it, it'll tell you what it is, you'll look through it, and decide to list it. You know, you have to put in the quantity, the condition. It also asks you the condition. You have to be very careful with the condition with Amazon, so be sure and read up on what like new is, what used, collectibles, so forth. They do have a different criteria for each one, so make sure that you read all of those. But I really find the Amazon app to be amazingly simple. My friend that I told you I helped with eBay, she got the Amazon app and she started selling on there, and she is seeing how wonderfully simple and easy it is. And again, the market is prolific. You can't beat it. Everyone is buying on Amazon. So that is definitely one I would recommend, is Amazon for sure. Okay, thank you, Lisa, for that question. Okay, on to the next question. Let me see here. Where can you get products to test silver and gold? You can get those on Amazon. I will see if I can put a link. I don't have an affiliate link for it, but I'll see if I can find one, or maybe I can find one on eBay. And when you click any affiliate I may put, I do get a commission on it, so I'd appreciate it if I do have a link that you use it that way. But yeah, you can get them anywhere on Amazon. eBay has them as well. They're usually pretty comparable in price as far as anything that's brand new in a box that way. But there is some acid testing kits on Amazon and eBay. Okay, this is another question from Tam's Place, and it says, in regards to Coach bags on Posh, which sells better, newer Coach styles or vintage Coach? This is kind of a general question. I'm going to have to say, in general, Coach handbags sell very well for me, in the vintage styles, only because they're made so much better. They are very collectible. The styles, you'll see them on the stars, you'll see them on the celebrities still today. They're very, very popular. So that's why I think they sell better on Posh, on eBay, and Etsy. I always would prefer to get a vintage Coach. Now, that's not to say that someone on Posh is not dying for that C logo or for the one with the little stagecoach in the front or whatever. They're still going to want it. And again, you have to take into account the condition of the fabric. Coaches tend to wear really quickly. They sully with just anything. They start getting, sullied, and the corners get worn with the ones that are made out of fabric. So that's why I tend to stay away from them. Plus, every time I see a C logo, I think counterfeit. Now, I know other people think the same thing about Louis Vuitton, the Murakami multicolor. A lot of people think when they see that, they think counterfeit. They think whatever they want to think, But for me, that's the way I see the C logos on the Coach bags. So I stay away from those. I do love the leather bags from Coach, whether they be new or vintage. I think they're well made, and if they're in a pretty color, if the style is nice, all of that has to be taken into account. But again, I think anything that sells on Posh also sells on eBay. I just feel that people on Posh are going to probably look for a leather bag in a more classic style, a hobo, maybe a satchel, that kind of thing. I think that'll be popular, extremely popular on Posh. I stay away from the C logos because I think of the counterfeits immediately. I was working once with some girls, and they were selling counterfeit Coaches. These were my co-workers, fellow teachers. Actually, they were assistants. And I asked them, are those fake or are they genuine? Because they were showing them to everybody. They had fanny packs, they had all kinds. And they looked me right in the face and they said no. But I could tell they were. I could tell they were by the quality, the shabbiness. I mean, it was just incredibly gross. But they were selling like crazy. And ever since then, when I see a C logo, that's what I think about. So my advice to you is, if you have vintage, get the vintage. If you have a great looking C logo or a great looking contemporary style, buy it, resell it. You'll get your money for it if it's in nice condition. But to me, the big draw is always going to be the vintage Coach. Your classic messengers, your totes, your really thick leather with the big zippers and that kind of thing, the briefcases. Those are just classics that people still want, and they still pay a little bit more for them. All right, thank you for that question. Now the next question. It looks like it's MIE011, and she's asking, how long do you keep an item listed before deciding to redonate it? I've had a couple of items listed for 1 year on Poshmark, and I'm thinking it's time for me to let them go. Was wondering what you do in a situation like that. I do the same thing, but I usually run an auction first. I will do a $9.99 auction. I may add shipping, but I'm not the kind of person that adds shipping, so I usually kind of factor it in there, like $13.99 instead of starting at $9.99. But either way, I try to do that, and I try to remember and tell myself, look, you only paid $2 for it. You're going to break even. You may make $1 or $2, but you're still going to make something. Because especially with clothing, it gets shelfware. Shoes, same thing. They get shelfware. No matter where you keep them, indoors or outdoors, they get shelfware if they're not being used. For a while, I'm not going to say after a year I dump everything, because I don't. But I do go through my inventory. I'll go and see what is, I usually go look because I have everything hung up. Almost everything's hung up. A few things are in bins, but I'll go look through those racks and just to make sure I've listed everything. And if I see a shirt that's been hanging there for 2 years, and maybe I start to, I will reassess it. I will look at it and I will say to myself, is it worthy of another try? Maybe I was, had bigger ideas about it. Maybe I thought it was better than it really is. And I will take it and put it in the donation box. But I do look for shelfware. I do look to reassess the item to see if maybe I had, these grandiose ideas about it and I was the only one thinking it because obviously it didn't sell. So yeah, that's what I do there. Okay. And then someone asked me, how do you keep track of what you buy and sell? I don't. I do not. I don't have the time to sit here and document everything I just picked up. I don't do spreadsheets. I love that people do spreadsheets. I admire that. I really, really do. I know people who can do a spreadsheet about everything. They do a spreadsheet when they go out to buy groceries. And I wish I was that way, but I'm not. So no, I don't keep track of it in that way, if that's what you mean. Other than that, if you met my inventory system, I do have, I think, a pretty good inventory system. I don't lose items very often. I have my books in a Dewey Decimal System. I have them here. I don't do FBA. I do merchant fulfilled. So I have to know where my book is when it sells. I have books behind me. I know exactly which ones they are. I have books up on top here on some shelves. I have books in the laundry room, and I have books in a built-in in my living room. So I know what category is where and in what system for that. Jewelry the same. I've been trying to get a lot more organized with my jewelry because I've been getting so much more with the jewelry jars. So I did start organizing them with what's listed, what's not listed, earrings, brooches, necklaces, everything kind of categorized. That's what you mean by how do I keep track of what I buy and sell? That's how I do it. Other than that, I really don't. I look at my 1099s at the end of the year. I look at all of the receipts that I have for what I purchased, and then I get my donations as well, receipts for that, and we work it out that way. My CPA will work it out for me. I do a little bit of the preliminaries, but really, other than that, I don't have any kind of a spreadsheet system. I kind of wish I did, but even if I wanted to do it, I don't know when I would have the time. That I got, oh, no. I got a question about turquoise. And don't be fooled, guys, by, and you're not being fooled, but don't think that just because a piece is set in sterling silver that it's genuine. That's not always the case. Here's one that my mother got for me, and I love it. She got it at Marshall's, I believe. And they had this beautiful ring with a black sort of onyx looking and this in a turquoise looking. But this is plastic. And it's very obviously plastic. You can feel it. It is not cold to the touch. Usually a ring that's not made with a finer quality is open in the back. You'll rarely see a Native American piece with an open back as well. But again, you're talking about turquoise, so you can just kind of feel it. The perfection of it will also give it away because there should be some kind of matrix usually, even though you will find some like this genuine. But that's kind of the telltale sign for me, is just the way it feels. It feels like plastic. You know, this is a sterling ring. It does have an open back, so that immediately told me as well that it was not real turquoise. Now, as far as chunks and nuggets and things like that, this is a genuine piece that I bought from a Native American store. I was wearing this the other day in my Saturday live, and I wore this to the rodeo. I've had this for over 30 years, bought it directly from a Native American dealer. And you can also tell, even the way they sound just, like stones, and they're cold to the touch as well. And if you'll look at the matrix, you'll see variations not only of the veining. This is actually 3 strands. There's 2 in this one and 1 here. Not only of the veining, but just they're not perfect. They're going to have lumps. They're going to have different ways that you can tell. And then if you'll look on the inside here where it does have the piercing, the little drill hole, you can actually see sometimes on the fake ones where it's white on the inside because it's a dyed stone. Even though it is actually a stone, it's dyed. So when the fakes, imitate the turquoise. They can't imitate the inside of it. Look at it closely that way. That's the way I can tell the difference. And I also, you know, you weren't asking me directly about Native American pieces, but a lot of my Native American pieces have imperfections because they're hand wrought. So they're handmade. So you will see where sometimes they don't finish off right here. There's a little piece missing. It doesn't quite close with the band, or I mean, just any little thing you will see. And that, to me, that's the charm of it. It's kind of like the way I can tell a hand knit piece. A hand knit piece will always have some little flaw or some little imperfection somewhere where you can tell that that was actually handmade and not mass manufactured by a machine. And that's the same thing with turquoise. All right, guys, I think that is all of my questions. I want to thank you so much for posting them. It really was wonderful to sit there and delve into those questions with a lot more time and a lot more analysis of what you were asking me. I hope I addressed it all pretty fully. And please ask me more questions. Please post those questions here on this video so that I can make another video next Wednesday answering those questions. And if I run into any other questions that I see throughout my other videos, I will post those as well if I can, but it's really a lot more convenient for me to find them in one spot, so I'd really appreciate it if you put them here in this video. And look forward to a couple of more videos coming your way. I have a jewelry bag coming from Chicago. My son was kind enough to take my daughters to a thrift store when they were in Chicago for spring break, and I asked them to please go by and get me a jewelry bag. So it wasn't a big bag, but it looks very interesting, so I can't wait to open that up. I still have the 2 parts of Rose's gift. That was just fabulous, and I want you to see that as well. And I think I have another little small jewelry. No, I have 2 other little jewelry jars that I haven't gotten to as well. So there's plenty coming up, but I really enjoyed this Q&A series, so I hope you'll continue to engage with me and leave me some more questions. I'd be glad to address them in another video next week, and I will talk to you really, really soon. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new videos, and don't forget to like the video as well. And I'll talk to you really soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.